Well now, brothers, the team on which we can depend, they are skillful and tally and try to defend.
Well, this afternoon, Redcliffe play brothers in a very important match, and the red, led by Mark Murray, comes out. No, Mitch Brennan is actually the captain of the side, not as programmed. Mitch Brennan has led them out on the field through the big banner of the Village Motors, and only a couple of changes to the Redcliffe side from last week. Stephen Bleakley is out, and Steve Cherry comes back into the centres, and Michael Webb replaces his brother Terry. Michael going up into the front row, and Dave Truella will lock the scrum. And Brian Niebling dropping back into the second row. Brothers, on the other hand, Alpha Micro Computers are the brothers' sponsors. Brothers only had just achieved a sponsorship only a couple of weeks ago, and one of the very few performances at Lane Park, led out by Pat Shepperson, the captain of Brothers, unchanged from last week. And players to watch in the Brothers side, Tim Dwyer, the young fullback, a great young player, Tim Dwyer, and of course Glen Haggath had plenty of wraps on him, the fellow playing in the second row, number 9, Glen Haggath. He'll certainly be a player Brothers will be looking for a big effort this afternoon. Well, Brothers and Redcliffe equal fourth on 15 points, with East breathing right down their neck on 14. East played North this afternoon, but there's Pat Shepperson to kick off, and he kicks it well downfield. There's little Benson there to pick up the ball from the kick-off, bringing it back up, and Henry Foster quickly in to make the tackle. And what an important match for both sides this afternoon, Mick.
Certainly is, David, and I've chosen Brothers, if I had to pick a team, which I did this morning in the paper, only because they've been going well, quietly, and there's a little bit of nonsense going on here, nothing to worry about. They seem to have been playing well at the outside grounds, and Redcliffe not functioning as well as I thought they would. I think the representative players have had a pretty heavy load and not really back into the thing.
He's been sent off. Eddie Ward has sent off Glen Haggath. He will not be back on the field. It's not a sin-bin effort. Have a look at here on the replay. Glen Haggath lashes out with his boot. Let's have a look at it, Mick. Well, he certainly lashed out with his boot. There wasn't a great deal in it. The touch judge quickly to come on, as was Shane Bernardin, but now Brothers are going to do it hard. Only 12 men for the remainder of the match.
Well, that was a fellow I was going to say could have a big game for Brothers, and I might change now.
Maybe I should ask for your summary after the first minute, Nick.
Yeah, well, that puts a big load on the rest of these fellows. And, of course, Redcliffe must take advantage of that at every opportunity. There's a man missing in the defensive line, and if Redcliffe can't win it now, they'll never win it.
Well, it's been left on the platter now for Redcliffe. Mark Murray out through Benson. Benson's going to kicks downfield, and looking for touch on the right-hand side. Dwyer across quickly, picks it up on his own quarter-way line, bringing it back out, and quickly wrapped up there by Redcliffe. Redcliffe are obviously going to play it down the other end, but now they've got that extra man. They can certainly afford to throw the ball around, and that's the way to beat a side with a man down, is throw the ball around. Brothers in possession. Mark Creer away, but he's well wrapped up there by the Redcliffe defence. Dummy half, back to Shepperson. He's going to kick downfield. And Shepperson has done a lot of kicking for Brothers this season. Taken by Mitch Brennan on his own quarter-way line. Across comes Robert Grogan, just grabs him by the jersey and brings him to ground, almost 10 metres inside Redcliffe territory. No score so far, and Brothers a sensational start to the match, with Brothers second row forward Glen Haggath being sent off in the first minute of the game, and Brothers now, it would be expected, are going to do it fairly difficult against this very physical Redcliffe side.
John Bartle has said that he wants this side from Redcliffe to be physical. I think everyone's taken the wrong meaning about that. He wants them to hit hard because they're a very capable side as Mark Murray bursts away.
Mark Murray puts a little kick through, finds support from Paulson. Paulson back outside, and Redcliffe are in for their first try. What a great work from Redcliffe, and Mark Murray is down in back play. And it was Shane Bernarden who backed up brilliantly from the little Mark Murray chip kick, but brothers are going to find it difficult now with the man down, no cover defence, and the little chip kick, somewhat fortunate by Mark Murray there, caught it on his fingertips. He's due for a big game for Redcliffe.
Paulson's running onto it beautifully.
Paulson did well to get up in support, and then of course Shane Bernarden, he backed up well, and brothers just with no support there, and he goes in right beside the posts.
Well, that was superb, and Murray taking full advantage of a big gap sitting in behind brothers. No one back there to cover. The full back was shot to pieces. I wouldn't have liked to have been Tim Dwyer. He was left on his lonesome, and of course once they were broken, brothers, they were shot to pieces. Murray still down. This is looking nasty for Redcliffe.
And Mark Murray, of course, has had a neck and shoulder injury in recent weeks. It's only his second game back, and he was gingerly filling the neck. There's the kick from Benson. He kicks himself over, but puts the ball between the posts, and Redcliffe go to an early lead after 4 minutes of 6-0.
Mighty brothers. Tony.
A kick off to the left this time, a high one by Mark Creer, catching Redcliffe, someone unawares. Dwyer comes through, he's knocked it forward. It won't be a try. Eddie Ward's called it back. And brothers prepared to try a few things. They must get possession if they're going to deal with Redcliffe this afternoon.
Yes, and they're going to have difficulty, and it makes one wonder whether this hoodoo that's proposed on brothers is not striking again. It seems as though it has struck already.
Brothers having a lot of trouble winning at Lang Park, and they're going to find it just as difficult, if not more so, this afternoon. Redcliffe in possession, having won the scrum, and strongly up the middle, Fullerton-Smith. Dummy half, Bernarden knocked down there by Paulson. Redcliffe coming through to pick it up and do retrieve, and scrum to pack.
Tell you what, that was poor by brothers. A loose ball on the ground, and they failed to dive on it.
After 5 minutes of play, Redcliffe leading 6-0. The ball in by Foster, taken out by Foster through Shepperson, out to Grogan, quickly wrapped up there. Chris Keeley moving up quickly to effect the tackle. Mark Creer wraps around to take a ruck to the right-hand side. And he's wrapped up by Dave Truella. Shepperson, the wrap around with Davidson, back inside to Ferguson, running back into trouble. Knee there went in. Niebling went down, a slight altercation in the play of the ball. Niebling seems to be all right. The ball out wide. Jeff Burns through. Plenty of support from brothers. They should score from here. Bly Davidson on the inside. Burns decides to go himself and scores it. Line up by brothers. Keep the ruck well, and we go 3 players in support. And Redcliffe are going to have to be just as much on their toes. If they relax at this stage, brothers have just decided they're going to be on the throw around. There's the backline movement. Brothers clearing the ruck very quickly. Grogan cuts out one, finds Jeff Burns, and there's plenty of support from brothers. Bly Davidson on the inside. Jeff Burns decides he's got enough room to work himself. Mitch Brennan attempts to make the tackle, but Jeff Burns in the corner.
Well, from the head on the NEC replay, very good play by the back line of brothers. They beat the man with the ball to the outside, and of course they've got 2 men over, and I feel Burns made the mistake there. He had a go, and you don't have a go with a man of Mitch Brennan's experience. He could have ended up in touch. If he'd have passed the ball inside, it could have been under the posts and 6 points instead of just 4. Maybe it could be 6 now. Hopefully it is. Shepperson, pretty good kicker, but they could have made sure it was 6 points.
But they did it so easy, Mick, didn't they? Got the overlap very simply, just a couple of quick passes, and Redcliffe nowhere to be seen on the left-hand side.
And this is the problem Barber has had with Redcliffe. I think his forwards have been playing very well indeed, but his backs have been getting themselves out of position, and defensively not playing as well as they should. Oh, looks a good-looking kick.
Pat Shepperson has raised the flags from 2 metres inside the touchline, and brothers bring the score back to 6 points all after 7 minutes of play in the first half. Well, that's just the tonic that brothers would have needed after losing Glen Haggath in the first minute of the game on a kicking charge. Brothers 1 man down, only 12 men to play 13 now, and they've done well to bring the score back to 6 points all.
Will be fair to him. It's only an alleged kick. He didn't really hurt him either, David. I think it was that he did it, and you shouldn't do that on the football field. None of us want to see that.
Shane McElwain picks up the kickoff, brings it back out, still inside their own quarter, and heavy Redcliffe defence in the middle of the ruck there. Paulson and Niebling. That's Jim Heary running up strongly. Brothers Foster through Ferguson. Ferguson fires a long one out. Brothers trying to do a little bit too much in their own territory. Picked up there by Burns. And they'll do well to clear it very quickly. Tim Dwyer helping his forwards out and running into trouble. I don't think he'll be running in the middle of that Redcliffe pack, Mick. There's a couple of big, strong defenders in there.
They've proved it to themselves already, Brothers, that if they fling the ball wide, they've got a chance of breaking the line. So we see them in their own quarter endeavouring to ruck it out instead of either spinning it or kicking it. Rather stupid.
They get the opportunity now, a free kick to Brothers, and now the tap kick to come. Foster to take the tap. Here is the pivot, flies it out to Shepperson. Around comes Foster, and Foster's wrapped up very quickly there by Dave Torella. Up to play the ball, out through Ferguson. Ferguson standing flat. Picks up the first couple of metres. Here at dummy half. Foster, Shepperson, out through Burns. Burns confronted by plenty of Redcliffe defence out there. No way through. Richie Polson standing out very wide. Dwyer to dummy half, decides to go on the left. Polson once again in there to help out in the tackle, along with Mick Webb. Foster out to Heary. Interesting to see that whilst Mark Creer is the hooker in the Brothers side, he does not go to dummy half very often, and they're trying to utilise Creer's ball handling skills as much as possible in the open play. Down to John Rebo. Rebo attempts to get around Bly Davidson but can't do it, and he's wrapped up quickly. Away from dummy half, Steve Cherry. He's taken in the tackle by Bly Davidson and Jim Heary. Bernarden, Mark Murray from a long way back. Dave Brown takes it, very flat pass, wrapped up quickly. Polson's gone to dummy half. Idles away from dummy half, looks for support. The pass has gone astray. Brothers in possession.
Redcliffe bringing themselves undone, and isn't it sad to see? Oh, sad bit of support from Brothers there on that occasion. Both teams going to sleep around about this time.
Nowhere near enough depth in the attack at all, and both sides not hitting the ball up hard enough. There's Bernarden, slips a short ball through to Twella, wrapped up by Creer and Ferguson. Redcliffe got plenty of depth both sides of the ruck this time. Through Mark Murray, out to Benson. They haven't left themselves too much room to work in though, and Brothers come across and wrap up Chris Keeley out on the left-hand side, just inside Brothers territory now. Redcliffe through Mark Murray, dummies. Oh, looked like he was going to dummy. Certainly Wally Fullerton-Smith thought he was, and the ball went to ground, and a knock on from Redcliffe and fairly untidy passage of play. 11 minutes gone in the first half. Redcliffe and Brothers 6 points all, and a penalty going to Brothers from the scrum. Eddie Ward not happy at all. He's obviously said there to the front rowers, keep back, and Redcliffe the first ones to go down. Brothers get the penalty, and Pat Shepperson to try and find touch well downfield. He has found touch, certainly around about 12 metres inside Redcliffe territory. Bly Davidson picks the ball up, taps it, finds Jim Heary. Brothers are going to set something up here. The first ruck just a steadier. Brian Niebling, one of the tacklers. Shepperson. There's the double dummy on a couple of players, and Robert Grogan, the player eventually to get the ball, and he's wrapped up very quickly.
Tell you what, they're not standing far deep enough, Brothers, and they're getting themselves in knots with these rehearsed moves. And also, they're not playing the ball. They have that forward. Here he took it on that occasion, took it up quickly, and then got up very slowly to play it. And the whole idea is to play the ball quickly.
They've created something here on the right-hand side now. Jeff Burns finds Joe Kilroy back on the inside. He's run back into trouble. Gets around one. Mark Murray comes across, still inside. Well done by Joey Kilroy. Finds Jeff Burns. Back to Bly Davidson. Forward pass. Eddie Ward drags it back. Forward pass. No need to go on with it. A little bit of a scuffle on the ground. Bly Davidson not happy, but Brothers, whilst it's taking them time to build up, certainly they're a danger when they get the ball out wide. And Redcliffe, as Mick has said, their defence not as it should be out wide of the ruck. Redcliffe a relieving penalty, fine touch around about 11 metres still inside their own territory. John Rebo picks it up. Bernarden to tap it. Redcliffe also their first slap that takes that first 10 metres. Bernarden around Mark Murray, bounces into one, bumps off one, finds Benson out to Keeley. Keeley can't find support out there, and Brothers both centres working well. Grogan and Burns covered any danger out there. Terrell goes to dummy half. Finds Polson, and he gets plenty of ground up the middle. Pops the ball nicely. Couldn't be taken by Fullerton-Smith though. Or was it Torella?
Tell you what, it was Truella on that occasion, but they've got to watch that Paulson. Tremendous player with the ball in the middle of the ruck. Most underrated forward in Brisbane.
Mark Creer away from dummy half, gets some pretty easy yardage, and Redcliffe having a bit of sleep on the blind side. John Rebo steals it, and of course we all know that Eddie Ward should have been a policeman. He just will not allow any stealing of the ball at all on the field, and he's quick to come in and penalise, and a penalty going to Brothers.
Yes, I'm sure Eddie had the ball stolen off him when he was a young fella, and he's got a bit of ability with the whistle to control it now, and he's not going to let it get away on him.
All right, Brothers to take the tap, only a couple of metres outside Redcliffe quarterway line. Foster, another wrap around Shepperson. Foster gets it back, finds Jeff Burns straight into a gap. Grogan on the outside, finds Grogan. They won't call this one back, and Robert Grogan right beside the post from a set move, and nice work from Brothers. They've used the wrap around plenty of times today, and on this occasion it came off. Let's have a look at it again. There's Henry Foster, goes around Shepperson, looks for support. There's Burns straight in and hard onto the gap, and Grogan motoring up alongside. Nicely done by Robert Grogan, and he scoots away to put it down again right beside the post.
Well, as you'll see from the replay, they decided to stand a little bit deeper on this occasion, and doesn't it make the difference? It's the sauce on the top of the pudding, and there was no way that Redcliffe defence was going to stop them on that occasion, and it is Brothers' back line that is carving Redcliffe up something awful. And if they continue to do this and throw it wide, run onto it, I'd say Redcliffe got a big problem, even though Brothers are playing with 12 men and Redcliffe with 13.
Well, Redcliffe definitely have got some problems. 10 points to 6 with the kick to come here from Shepperson. This is a real easy one for Pat Shepperson, one of the top, or the top goal kicker in Brisbane at the moment. Around the corner kicker, belts it. Yes, no problems at all. 12 points to 6. Redcliffe are down to Brothers, and a fine effort here by the Brethren to fight their way back after 15 minutes of the first half. Mark Murray to kick off for Redcliffe. They're down 12 points to 6 at the moment. Shane McElwain takes the ball, fires it out to Bly Davidson. Bly Davidson throws a little dummy, and Redcliffe once again very tight in the middle. But as Mick has said, they're woeful out wide, and Brothers certainly will be endeavouring to get the ball out wide as often as they can. There's one of the most underrated players running around in Brisbane at the moment, Shane McElwain, eventually wrapped up there by Steve Bleakley. Brett Ferguson charges up the middle, and Brothers seem to be playing with a renewed amount of confidence. And that's just the tonic they would have needed. 2 tries. They've got Redcliffe down at the moment, and they would hope to keep them down there. Henry Foster, one of the top players and one of the leading point scorers in all Best and Fairest awards so far this season. Been a really good buy from Brothers. Jim Heary to dummy half. Out to Shepperson. Shepperson, the little kick. No one at home for Redcliffe. The kick probably wasn't quite deep enough. And it came off a Redcliffe hand. Trevor Benson in front of him, and Brothers get the penalty. And a very handy one at that. There's Tommy Radonicus and John Lohman watching intently the game, and Tommy giving a few directions. He'd be most happy with the start, at least the point scoring start of Brothers. He wouldn't have been happy after a minute of play when, once again, I say Glen Haggath sent off after the first minute of the game. Brothers playing with 12 men. Jim Heary takes the ball up the middle. He's the workhorse of this Brothers pack. Shane McElwain to dummy half. And again, we see Mark Creer, whilst he's hooker, does not play dummy half for Brothers. It looks like McElwain takes over those duties the majority of the time. A long pass from Foster out to Shepperson. Picks it up off his bootlaces. Comes back in the middle of the ruck. A good bumping run by Shepperson. He's got no support. Mitch Brennan came across well and cut down any amount of time that Shepperson would have had to look for support. Bly Davidson was coming out very quickly on the outside. Now Brothers again flying the ball around out through Ferguson to Grogan. Grogan a long one out to Burns. They're going to throw a lot of long passes. This Brothers back line. They're going to really try and stretch the Redcliffe defence, and it looks to me like exactly that was their game plan when they went into this game. Tim Dwyer again up from dummy half, and he could do well to prevent him or not run from dummy half, I would think, or run off the dummy half. He'll be much better served out wide. Shepperson with the ball again. He'll kick downfield. No one at home for Redcliffe. Mitch Brennan coming across slowly. The ball getting very close to the touchline. Brennan looked like he knocked it on. No, Eddie Ward's let it go. And Mitch Brennan's wrapped up there by Bly Davidson, 1 metre out from his quarterway.
Very close. It's the kicking from Shepperson. If he's going to go for those kicks, he must find the line. There's no use just kicking it down there for kicking's sake. It's got to get out over the sideline, or all Brothers could be in trouble. They've only got 12 men, and defensively they've got to be at a disadvantage.
And just at the moment, Redcliffe trying to ruck their way out of their own half. Dummy half Bernard and Mark Murray. Dummies to one, finds Fullerton-Smith out wide, and he's wrapped up very quickly. Fifth tackle, Mark Murray again, he'll kick. Finds Jeff Burns in good position. Not a very good kick at all from Mark Murray. And of course, with Terry Webb dropping out of this side, Mick, that's one of his big fortes, Webb.
Yes, he was probably the kicker. They would have, but he's sadly lucky. Tell you what, I just said that they must kick, and when they kick, fine touch. Plenty of room over there for Mark to put the ball between the fullback and the winger, and he kicked it straight to the winger.
Shane McElwain throws a little dummy, and quickly Redcliffe come in to wrap him up. Can't put him to ground, though. He plays well above his weight, McElwain. Away from dummy half Ferguson. And easy territory on the blind side of the Redcliffe ruck, and upended heavily. Eddie Ward had the whistle in his mouth, decided not to blow it. Redcliffe now in possession. Rebo out through Niebling. Niebling's been quiet in the early stages of the match. Three brothers defenders in there. Heary, Ferguson were two of them. Bernarden away from dummy half, finds Fullerton-Smith, but Creer comes in quickly to make sure his progress is halted. Plenty of depth. Murray fades across to the left-hand side of the ruck. Dummies Paulson, finds Mitch Brennan, but Henry Foster lurking out on the blind side. There's no trouble in accommodating Mitch Brennan. Mark Murray, Trevor Benson, out through Steve Cherry. Long passes, but Redcliffe going nowhere. The brothers' defence up quickly. And Redcliffe really not looking impressive out wide. On the other hand, brothers, that's their strength. Halfway through the first half, 12 points to 6, brothers lead. A sensational start to the match. And brothers now in good position after playing the whole of the match basically with 12 men. Penalty here going to Redcliffe.
Definitely in the second row. Actually, he was trying to put it in front of the lock's foot on that occasion. Young Henry Foster, and not succeeding. Mr. Ward, the referee, not the guy to try those sort of things against.
Redcliffe, fine touch, not a very strong kick, and we've said before, Redcliffe haven't got a strong kicker in this side. Tap penalty to be taken by Bernarden. Up strongly goes Torella. No, Mick Webb it was. Mick Webb playing in the front row for Terry Webb, for his brother. Mark Murray, the little wraparound. Bernarden finds Shane Fullerton-Smith. Fullerton-Smith's got Benson alongside him. Tim Dwyer moves to him, back to Fullerton-Smith. Has he got enough to get there? Robert Brogan tackles him, but he's across the line, and Redcliffe with a storming run, a similar move really to what brothers employed to score their try. The little wraparound, and Fullerton-Smith did very well, handled twice in the movement. Let's have a look at it again. Shane Bernarden, the wraparound with Mark Murray. There's Fullerton-Smith strongly onto the burst, into the gap. Mark Creer can't hang on to him. Back to Benson. Fullerton-Smith stays on his feet. That's why the try was scored. Fullerton-Smith into a bit of space, then Robert Reagan tries to wrap him up, but Fullerton-Smith's strength reaches out with Mark Creer coming over the top.
From the head on, here it is, the wrap around, and you will see the gap. Not much of a gap to go through, but Fullerton-Smith running strongly, backs up again. I tell you what, he's moving a bit quicker than he should have on that occasion on the NEC replay, but over for a fine try. And that really is not what brothers needed.
No, Redcliffe are going to answer quickly here. They couldn't afford to have a deficit for too long, and they've kicked the goal. It's 12 points all with 18 minutes to go in the first half, and Redcliffe now have hit back to even the scores. And brothers have started well, considering they've had 12 men, but of course, ultimately, Mick, you do get worn down. It's very hard work and quite a warm afternoon.
There's a gap in that ruck there somewhere, and Fullerton-Smith, I think, on that occasion, went through it. I know Creer had hold of him, but not strongly enough. And as I've said a couple of times during this match, if Redcliffe keep working at it, they've got to get an overlap somewhere.
Mitch Brennan brings the ball out. He's about 5 metres still inside his own quarter. Paulson to dummy half. Let's have a look if he's going to run. No, he's not. Mick Webb's going to do the hard work and brings it out strongly to get it outside the quarterway. Heary and Creer in the tackle. Brian Niebling this time, wearing number 11, but playing in the second row with Mick Webb going up into the front row. Paulson this time, the forwards are going to share the work. No, it's a dummy to Paulson, finds Truella. Truella's got support from Paulson, and he's going to take on Dwyer, beats Dwyer, but just ankle tapped, and he's taken on the quarterway line. A quick play the ball now required from Redcliffe. Gaps on both sides of the ruck. The best way to come is to left. They've come that way. Niebling fires the ball out. Fingertip control by Shane Bernarden. Bernarden through Benson to Rebo. Rebo taken by Bly Davidson. Brothers now back, and fifth tackle it is for Redcliffe. They'll have to put the ball in the air. Mark Murray. They've elected to run it. Niebling realises its fifth tackle has been touched by Brothers, not indicated by Ward. Mark Murray looking for support, knocked on there by Redcliffe. Brothers in possession, and Brothers very fortunate to get out of that one.
Just a little bit of panic passing took over from Redcliffe then. If they'd have settled it, even though it was the final tackle, if you're going to run it very steadily. They did it at rather, well, panic seemed to set in a little. And I might add also that there's some Brothers forwards not defending in there when those wrap-around moves are on, and you must hit the man coming through.
Brothers in possession now. Tim Dwyer trying to take the ball out in the middle of the ruck once again. The young fella Dwyer likes to spend a bit of time around the middle, and I think I'd be trying to get out a little bit wider. Mark Creer away this time and hit heavily there by Richie Polson. Over the top came Brian Niebling. McElwain dummy half through Foster. Foster's going to do the kick and kicks out to the left-hand side. A dangerous practice out with no forward support out there for Brothers. Finds Grogan. And a penalty there for offside. They were in front of the kicker at the time. Never gave him 5 metres once Redcliffe came in possession, and the penalty now going to Redcliffe. 10 metres outside Brothers' quarter-way line, and an opportunity for Redcliffe to get 2 points.
Well, actually, if they were offside, John Barber sitting up there quietly. Bit of a nervous rub to the head. Long way to go in this game yet. I was about to say Grogan anticipated the referee blowing the whistle. He sort of just went up to the ball tentatively, whereas if he'd have gone in, picked it up, maybe it wouldn't have been offside or inside the 5.
Bit of bluff, Mick, you reckon, eh?
Well, they don't seem to do it too well. It did not look good at all.
A similar thing happened in the Sydney game yesterday when one player just held off and actually was onside, and by that stage the referee was convinced he was offside. Okay, a penalty here by Benson now, attempting to get 2 points out of it. Looks like he's got enough distance, but right hand side of the post, Kilroy elects not to take it on the in-goal area, and Brothers now to bring it out for a 22-metre dropout. 15 minutes to go in the first half. Redcliffe and Brothers locked 12 points all, and they're also locked on 15 points in the premiership. They're battling out for 4th spot here. The side that loses this game could drop back to 6th. Trevor Benson picks up the dropout, knocks off 1, finds support. Dave Brown right on the halfway line. Ryan Niebling to take the first ruck up. He picks up around about 4 metres when Brothers willing defence. Little wrap around. Bernarden can't find support this time, and Redcliffe is certainly going to try and utilise that to get the ball out wide and see if they can stretch this Brothers defence. Nice little ruck there from Fullerton-Smith up off the dummy half. Finds Dave Torella. He's knocked over Shane McElwain and Robert Grogan in the tackle. Bernarden, Murray, Benson, Mitch Brennan in the line. The little kick through, it's going to land. Anything could happen here. Dwyer picks it up well, just loses it forward. He was always under a lot of pressure, and the young fella did quite well eventually to get a hold of it. Scrum to pack only 2 metres inside Brothers' quarterway line. 12 points all, Redcliffe and Brothers. Knock on by Brothers, so it'll be a loose head and feed to Redcliffe. Good opportunity for the Dolphins to attack. The ball comes out Redcliffe way. Mark Murray, the blind side, tries to get away from Henry Foster and can't. Support there from Webb, it looked like. Bernarden to dummy half. Mark Murray. Benson juggles, takes it. And a couple of metres out from Brothers' try line. Plenty of work, Bernarden away from dummy half and scores it under the post, and very slack defence there from Brothers. Caught sleeping really, and Shane Bernarden, the old campaigner, you can't give this fellow any room to move. There he goes away from dummy half. There was enough defence there, and a good spinning movement by Shane Bernarden to ensure that he got across.
You see the 2 forwards, Jim Heary, and also can't see who the other is there, Brett Ferguson. Two big fellows there, and they allowed a little fellow to get through, and this is what they're doing in the middle of the field and also under the goalpost, and you just can't win games if you don't put them on the ground.
Well, they're not driving, Mick, are they? They're grabbing there in defence, and of course this Redcliffe pack, a physical pack, and Barber had stated that he was going to play some pretty physical stuff. There's Benson attempting to convert a very simple penalty, very simple conversion. 18 points to 12 now, Redcliffe lead with only 12 minutes remaining in the first half. Once again, brothers elect the short kick-off, and Mark Creer puts it up very high, taken well by Dave Brown, and he's there endeavouring to get him to touch and do so. Good work from brothers. They're prepared to try a few things from the kick-off, and they're going to have a good opportunity now to get the ball back, because, of course, if you've only got 12 men on the field, you need the majority of possession. Scrum to pack. Brothers packing, obviously, the 5-man scrum, and Eddie Ward not happy with the scrum. Penalty going to Redcliffe.
Well, I think he's going to have trouble all day with the scrums. Their brothers have a 5-man scrum, and Redcliffe a 6. That makes it a little difficult. And he likes a clean scrum at the best of times.
Pretty hard to get. Richie Paulson coming up off a short pass from Bernarden from the tap. Very deep back line from Redcliffe through Murray Benson, standing it up. Here's a set move. Mitch Brennan fires, comes across from behind the ruck, juggles the ball, and once again we see Mitch Brennan in the process of being tackled, losing the ball. Mitch Brennan had, by all reports, a shocker last week against East. The whole of the Redcliffe side didn't play well, but Mitch Brennan apparently had one of the days he'd like to forget.
Well, he has this ability to break the line beautifully and then drop the ball. Well, it's not an ability, it's something he would like to get rid of, I'm sure.
Brothers win the scrum, and Tim Dwyer is in possession now, wrapped up quickly by Keeley and Benson.
You'd class it as an affliction, probably. Brothers not lining out at all to attack, David. You know this, and this is sad. If they don't do that, they're going to be in trouble.
And they're really starting to bunch now, brothers, and Redcliffe have had a fair amount of possession in the last 10 minutes or so, and it seems it's taking its toll. Now brothers get the ball out wide through Krogan, out to Burns. Burns wrapped up quickly and put down heavily by Stephen Cherry. Joe Kilroy, who really hasn't participated to any great extent in this match, runs from dummy half. He's got to get more involved, I think, this fellow Mickey's a real match winner for the brethren.
Well, he was involved. He touched the ball once in the match and nearly set up a try for them, if not very close to. And he's got to, as you say, involve himself more. And he has a lot of ability. He can step on a threepence. Well, they're out of date now too. 2 1-cent piece if you'd like.
You'd still have yours, Mick, wouldn't you? Knock on by Niebling as he comes up, and Redcliffe not looking at all well organised. And they can ill afford to make mistakes with only 10 minutes to go in the first half. Scrum to pack, 18 points to 12, an opportunity for brothers to go on the attack. They've got loose head and ball. Foster put it in, the ball came straight back out. Penalty to brothers.
Once again, Mr. Ward swooping on them. Those the rules are there, and they're not to be broken.
The brothers now an opportunity to try and square the score up. They've got a set move, a wall lined up here. Let's see what they can do with it. The tap's taken, brothers fade across. Foster over the top of his head. The ball hasn't probably gone as deep as what he would have liked. Brothers have knocked it on by the look of it. Yes, they certainly have now. Benson picks up the loose ball, and he takes the ball out. And brothers prepared to try a few innovative things from the tap penalty. Not coming off on that occasion, but at least they're prepared to try a few things. Once again, Shane Bernarden getting that little pass away. He does so well. And Brian Niebling follows Shane Bernarden around like a shadow, and he did on that occasion. Tuella from dummy half, away to Paulson. Paulson up strongly, fires it back to... I'm just not too sure who there. Bernarden it was. Redcliffe now still in possession. It was 6 to go. Mick Webb wrapped up quickly. Tuella to dummy half. He goes away from dummy half himself, finds another big gap in the middle of the ruck, outside to Fullerton-Smith. He's having a big free running game. Hit once again hard by Tim Dwyer, and brothers in possession. Another good tackle by Dwyer. And he and Fullerton-Smith have a bit of a look at each other afterwards. I think Fullerton-Smith said, well, who was that? That's normally his job, Fullerton-Smith, making the big tackles, but he was certainly hit by a good one then. Brothers a couple of metres out from their own quarterway. Shepperson to Mark Correa. Correa hit heavily. And possibly the fact that Correa doesn't play dummy half gives brothers a little bit of lack of organisation around the rucks.
Well, I think you'd be right there. No one knows who's going to be a dummy half at any given time. I've been watching Brett Ferguson very closely the last 15 minutes. His only attempt to touch the ball was on that occasion, and when he dived on the prior loose ball. He missed 3 consecutive tackles and allowed the overlap, and that's the sort of problem the brothers have. And if I was Tommy Redonigas, it'd be off with someone else on, because you just can't have a fellow out there who's not tackling.
You've got to have workers when the situation. 18 points to 12, only 7 minutes remaining in the first half. Brothers right on their own quarterway line. Mark Creer, first man off the ruck, and not really getting the runners. And Mark Creer, whilst a renowned ball player, hasn't been able to slip any passes this afternoon. Here's Ferguson for his first run. Fires a little pass to Burns, but Blythe Davidson certainly wasn't prepared to back up Burns. He's faded across right into midfield now, Blythe Davidson. McElwain dummy half through Creer, out to Shepperson. There's Henry Foster. Looks like there's a little move on. They finally find somebody. The ball's gone astray. Brothers very untidy, and it was an offside play. Penalty to Redcliffe, right on the quarterway, a couple of metres to the right-hand side of the post, and should be 2 points for Benson.
Well, that's what's happening to Brothers. They've fallen right away after a strong start, even though Glen Haggath was sent off in the first seconds of the play, right at the beginning. They looked as though they were going to produce the goods. Now they've got dropsy, and they've also got that non-tackling ailment as well.
Yes, they've tried to get a little bit too fancy, I think, Mick. You know, they're trying to put on these complicated set moves out wide, and they're just not coming off. Just the simple wraparound seem to be working well enough, and they're trying to get more players involved. And just at this stage, it's not working for the brethren.
You nominated it before. Blythe Davison left his position a long time before the ball started to move out. A bit of a... well, he was getting into the action out there and wasn't needed.
Benson puts it over, 20 points to 12 with 6 minutes to go in the first half. The kick-off by Shepperson once again to the left-hand side. He's put it out on the full, and nothing working for Brothers. And when you're on a slide, it's pretty hard to get out of it.
I wonder what Tom Radonicus is thinking about now. The gremlins have all died.
Redcliffe not covering that kick-off too well on the left-hand side of the field, and Brothers trying to exploit that. Plenty of gaps out there on the left, but certainly you must keep the ball in the field of play. Benson now to try and find touch. Not a strong kick of the ball, but does well, knows his limitations, finds it 10 metres out from the quarterway line. And the tap now from Redcliffe. There's Tommy Radonicus, not at all as happy as what he was around about 20 minutes ago. Redcliffe now right on the quarterway line. Very deep back line again. Murray through Benson, finds Niebling out wide, taken strongly, no, let go. Out to Fullerton-Smith. Fullerton-Smith having a strong free-running game. Torella close to the line, just being held back by Brothers. Mitch Brennan to dummy half. Quick ball required here to the left-hand side. Plenty of gaps. 6 to go has been called. Mark Murray does a little bit of a pivot around. Too easy for Redcliffe, just too easy. Mark Murray went back to get the ball. Did a little bit of a pirouette in the middle. Possibly been watching the gymnastics on the Olympics, and let's have a look at it again. The little fumble there by Mitch Brennan. Mark Murray does a little bit of a spin around. Brothers always in trouble, always thin after the big break from Redcliffe, and Mark Murray in under the sticks.
Well, as you'll see from the head on, nothing to beat. Actually, I think I could still run through there the way the Brothers are tackling, and that's terrible. But even when Brennan fumbled the ball from the dummy half position, still there was no defence going up, and it waited till the ball was passed, and you just can't do that with class players like Murray.
Trevor Benson chips it over, and the Dolphins now into an even further into the lead. 26 points to 12, only 4 minutes to go in the first half. There's the kickoff. Mark Creer not going the 10 metres. Eddie Ward's got him for it. And once again, Brothers trying too many things, if anything. And they've made 2 terrible mistakes from the kickoff. First of all, kicking it out on the full. And second, not going 10 metres. And it's just making it too easy for the Dolphins.
And they're fundamentals that we senior players and former senior players say to young kids, you never do that, and chastise them strongly if they do. And here we see a first grade side of professionals. They're paid money to play football, play it well, and they do that. God, if they can't start, they're never going to finish.
Certainly, Brothers not giving themselves a chance here and giving a great opportunity now. Only a couple of minutes to go in the first half, and Redcliffe with another opportunity with a commanding lead of 26 points to 12. Of course, that won't help their lot too much. Mick Webb not happy with his handling performance there. Throws the ball to the ground. And an opportunity now for Brothers to gain possession and possibly at least hold the score to 26 points to 12. No, Redcliffe win it against the head. A good effort here from Redcliffe. Mark Murray comes away from the base of the scrum. See what Redcliffe can do now with the last couple of minutes. Mitch Brennan finds good support from Chris Keeley. He's got too much pace, so easy. And once again, we say Brothers with that man down, but they're really not making that first up tackle. They're certainly lacking in cover defence, but gee, if your front line isn't doing the job. Let's have a look at this nice little ball here from Mitch Brennan. Puts Keeley right into the gap, fades across just a little bit to the left, and Keeley with enough pace to scoot across, puts his eye for the corner and goes across, and Redcliffe now really wrapping this match up. It's impossible for the brethren to get back.
We'll see on the NEC replay, the head on here. Brothers defence coming across to get into position, but Brennan just pops the ball up. He didn't have to do anything. It was just a normal run-off move, and the defence not there at all, and quite easy for Chris Keeley to burst away there. And he is not a slow player.
Opportunity now for Redcliffe even to go further in front. It looks like John Rebo is going to take the long-range goal kicks. Redcliffe now have scored 4 tries in the first half. 5 tries in the first half, 5 tries to 2, and they've got this commanding lead even at this stage. The score 30 points to 12 with an opportunity for Rebo to make it even a greater margin. In comes John Rebo, a poor kick from Rebo. Doesn't do a lot of kicking these days, never a chance. 30 points to 12 with a minute to go in the first half. Shepperson kicks off, and Brothers aren't going to make the same mistake this time. Drive it downfield. Dave Brown makes a mistake but knocks it backwards. He's a strong runner, Dave Brown. Comes to Foster, straight through Foster, straight through another. Dave Brown into the open. Grogan catching him from behind at a rate of knots and wraps him up very quickly. But Brothers first up defence, not at all what it should be. Shane Bernard into dummy half. There's Niebling coming off the face of the ruck. Brothers once again on the back foot, and you can't afford Redcliffe to get this sort of momentum going forward. Redcliffe really have looked too strong in all departments after a shock start. Mark Murray out through Benson to Mitch Brennan. Mitch Brennan looking for a runner, couldn't find it. That's the half. A kick up by Redcliffe for the second half, leading 30 points to 12. McElwain takes the ball just inside his own quarter. Takes it up, and just what can Brothers do really to get out of the problems they've got in the second half?
I wonder what Tom Radoniger said to them at half-time break.
Next year, maybe?
I don't think it would be that bad.
Certainly they're going to be in trouble, Mick. They lose this one today. They were an equal fourth. Good ball there from out to Dwyer, but he's wrapped up quickly by Truella. But really, what an important game it was for both sides. And when I say was, it's certainly not over yet. Brothers again throwing the ball out wide. Jeff Burns into a monstrous gap out on the grandstand side. Blythe Davidson coming back on the stays on the outside brilliantly. And Blythe Davidson flies away down the right-hand wing. Exactly the same way Brothers started in the early part of the first half. And maybe it is what Tommy Udonica says just before they go out. They certainly forget it after a while. Their memories aren't real good for length of time. That was Ferguson out to McElwain. McElwain to Burns again. He's been into a few big gaps in this half. And Blythe Davidson stays on the outside. Everyone waiting for him on the inside. Rebo certainly was. He'd come back on the inside, but it was Blythe Davidson with plenty of pace flying down the right-hand wing and goes over around about 3 metres in from the touchline.
Well, here's the head on. You'll see him look inside, and of course by looking inside, Burns drew Rebo in because he thought that Blythe Davidson was going in, but had none of that. And I tell you what, Davidson didn't have much room to manoeuvre down that fast touchline. Did it very well indeed. A
real flyer for Brothers, Blythe Davidson, and of course he chalked up his 100 games for Brothers just only a couple of weeks ago, and hasn't been a player who's run in 100 games for Brothers over quite a few years, and it's good to see Blythe Davidson being added to the club.
Tell you what, Redcliffe have gone into a quick huddle over there. As well they might.
Well, maybe they thought exactly as you and I thought, Mick, that the game was all over, and of course it's not. If Brothers get a fair share of possession, they've shown that they can attack well from out wide. Shepperson with a kick coming across the post. He can't convert the try. 30 points to 6 after 2 minutes of the 30 points to 16 after 2 minutes of the second half. Mark Murray to kick off. The little short one. They're only just going to get their 10 metres. Redcliffe have knocked it forward. Brothers come back to pick it up. Shane McElwain picks it up. And the tries at the moment, Redcliffe have scored 5 tries to Brothers 3. Tries 2 by Bernardin, 1 by Fullerton-Smith and 1 by Murray, the other one by Chris Keeley. For Brothers, on the other hand, Burns has scored a try, Grogan a try, and Bly Davidson. A penalty here going to Brothers. And it's an opportunity for them to get out of their own territory. And also scrums at half-time, 3 scrums, I should say, to 2. Penalties now are 8-6. And looking at the conversions, Shepperson has got 2 from 3 at this stage. And from the first half, Benson 5 from 6. And Rebo failed to convert his only attempt.
Richie Paulson was down injured there. Well, you were telling the viewers about the mammoth scores there, David. And he's one player that they don't want to have injured at all.
Certainly Brisbane don't want him injured either, Mick. The side picked tonight to line up against East in a couple of weeks' time, and Brothers really getting in each other's roads here. And Jeff Burns taking probably the hardest knock of the game, and it was from Tim Dwyer. The Brothers can't afford to get any sort of confusion in their side. They're going to have to really run hot in this game. They realise just how important it is. As I said earlier in the call, that both these sides equal fourth at the moment on 15 points. East breathing right down their necks on 14. They come up against North today, Eastern Suburbs, so they'll have a good chance to chalk up 2 points. The side that loses this one today could drop back to 6 points. Oh, strong tackle there from Dave Brown on Robert Grogan. Grogan up quickly though. And the side that loses would go back to equal 6 with only 4 matches remaining before the finals. A big long kick down field. John Rebo back into position, juggles it slightly for the first moment, comes up to Bly Davidson, and Davidson wraps him up well. Davidson has been much maligned in the past for possibly his lack of strength in defence, but he's done well on the couple of occasions he's had to come up against John Rebo today, one of the stronger runners in the Redcliffe side, and he's contained him quite well.
Just harking back to that Brothers business, Tim Dwyer coming into the back line and knocking his own man over. That means he just didn't have his eye on the man or the ball. He was, I don't know what, he might have had them closed, but he certainly wasn't doing what he was supposed to do.
He hasn't really timed his run too well today. There's Robert Grogan picking up a loose ball, looking back on the inside, but quickly wrapped up there by Truella. Brothers, Brett Ferguson throws the dummy, finds Joe Kilroy into a gap. He should score it. Kilroy trying hard, can't quite get across the line. Yes, he has. He's got it down over the back of his head. Certainly no double movement. The ball had not gone on the ground, nor had any of his arms. And Brothers hit back strongly once again, and Redcliffe have gone into reverse really in the second half, and Brothers with just a slight opportunity, and that's all it took. Here's a loose ball coming up from Redcliffe. The ball fires back down through Murray, hit heavily Fullerton-Smith. Grogan takes the ball, runs into the gap, wrapped up quickly, and then Brett Ferguson wasn't quite too sure what to do. Threw the dummy on the outside, back on the right hand side again. Joe Kilroy, that gave him enough time to get there. Cherry gets a hold of him, and Kilroy places it down, and well done there from Brothers.
Well, on the head on, you'll see Kilroy. It's not a double movement. Definitely at the try. He's still moving, and punk. Down she goes. On the line is in. And I tell you what, Brett Ferguson nearly blew it there. He was dummying to the invisible man on both sides of the ruck, and then thought, good heavens, I better do a bit of running myself.
Pat Shepperson converts the try. 30 points to 22 now, and Brothers back in the match.
Barber looking quite upset. He's coming out. He's down out of the grandstand to say a few words. Come over here, he says. Well
chosen words, I would think. And he's called John Rebo to the sideline. He's issuing a couple of instructions here. Says, let's play it down the other end. There's Brothers Alpha microcomputer, and he's cheering them on this afternoon. And of course, they're going to need all the support they can get. But a fine start in the second half from Brothers. 30 points to 12. Little knock on there from Brothers, and now they've allowed some pressure to go back on them. And a bit of ill feeling coming in, a bit of silly play from Redcliffe really, a couple of attempts to get the ball. Penalty there by Eddie Ward. He said, leave me referee this game, I'll look after it, thanks. And all Redcliffe had to do was get in there and pack the scrum.
Well, that was not very bright at all. They've allowed Brothers off the hook. They were just about to put pressure on them. Tim Dwyer had knocked it on, and he had so too. About to pack a scrum, and what do? They take all the pressure off, and here we see Brothers out of trouble and putting the attack back into Redcliffe. Well, if they keep that up, that deficit of 30 to 22, I think Brothers could catch up.
They're certainly playing well enough at the moment to do so. Redcliffe defence really isn't as strong as what it was in the first half. Henry Foster fires the pass out. Smith, I think that was.
They need some determined running from the forwards.
Back inside, set move here from Brothers. Burns just picks it up. Didn't quite have enough time to get the ball up though. And once again, one of Brothers' players running into one another. Redcliffe now in possession. They've had a couple of complicated moves out here today, Mick, and they've come unstuck with them on a couple of occasions. Now it's Paulson firing it away to Rebo. Rebo's been fired up by the little chat with John Barber on the sideline. Now Redcliffe with their chance to attack. Mark Murray, Benson, Cherry. Cherry coughs it up straight to Jeff Burns. He's had a good game today, Burns. Finds Joe Kilroy. Joe Kilroy looking for a gap. Bouncing around. Finally put to the ground. A couple of metres inside Brothers' territory. Plenty of gaps on the right-hand side. The ball will go to Creer on the right. Creer fires it out to... No, holds the ball up. Brothers there really just looking that little bit disorganised. That's the time you've got to attack when you've still got the defence disorganised. They couldn't do it at that time. Foster fires the ball back again to Smith. He gets it back to Foster. Foster not enough room to move. Too tight to the ruck, and Redcliffe starting to tighten up the middle of their ruck. Out to Creer. Creer with the little kick over the top, just a little bit too far. Straight down the throat of Mitch Brennan. Mitch Brennan cuts to the left-hand side. And Tim Dwyer moves up along with Bly Davidson to wrap him up. John Rebo from dummy half. Picks up Fullerton-Smith. Rebo again at dummy half. Wasn't Fullerton-Smith there before, it was Mick Webb. This time Shane Bernardin. This time Paulson. Oh, knocked heavily. Good defence from Brothers. Gary Smith. Bernardin. Murray. Benson. Benson decides to run, really not much on. Back to Murray. Plenty of the Brothers' defence there. And whilst Redcliffe get very deep, they don't look like they've got much penetration out in the back line. Benson fires it back to the right-hand side. Dave Brown decides to put the little kick through. Joe Kilroy's back to cover it. Gets away simply from Brown. Kilroy kicks into open space. Mitch Brennan's got a head start on him though. He comes back to pick it up, loses it. Kilroy kicks through. The ball's rolling toward the line. There's no one within Joe Kilroy. All he's got to do is dive on the ball, and he does so. Try to Brothers, and once again Brothers hit back. What a phenomenal start to the second half. 10 minutes into the second half, Brothers have scored 3 tries. Another one here from a Redcliffe mistake, and Joe Kilroy picks up the ball brilliantly here. Picks the ball up. The kick through came from Redcliffe. The little chip over the top. Well done from Kilroy, because there wasn't really too much support back for Mitch Brennan. He makes a real meal of it. Joe Kilroy following up his own kick. Kicks the ball through. The ball dribbling toward the line, hoping that it wasn't going to go over the dead ball line. He makes it, touches it down a couple of metres from the dead ball line. Good work from Kilroy.
Well, you'll see it on the... Well, we're having a head-on view of it now. Here comes Mitch Brennan. You'll see Brennan come into play. He does make an absolute mess of everything. Kilroy can't believe his good luck. Kicks it ahead. It's a superbly judged kick because it just gets out of there. Now watch how carefully he puts the ball, hands on the ball, and said, there's a miracle happening at Lang Park. And I think it is too.
I think it might be. Brothers have scored 3 tries in the second half, all by their wingers. Davidson scored 1 and Kilroy the other 2, and I think that's significant, Mick.
It is significant because they all came from Redcliffe mistakes. And I tell you what, that is not looking good. Barber is still standing over there beside his reserve players. And I think we might see a few of them coming out very shortly.
Yes, they'll have to start tackling Redcliffe. They're going to be a chance. Great kick from Shepperson. He's raised the flags. Redcliffe still lead Brothers, but only by the margin of 2 points. 30 points to 28. John Barber having a few well-chosen words. And well, he might. Who would have believed it? But at half-time, the score was 30 points to 12. Brothers have racked up 16 points in 12 minutes. Redcliffe to kick off.
And Barber has told Rebo to get into the middle of the field and get into play, because on 2 occasions Rebo's gone back to his wing for the kick-off, and he's had to come into the middle. I don't know whether that's to follow the ball or what it's to do, but I can't see the advantage of it.
And Brothers really on a high at the moment. Only 12 men. They lost their top second rower Glen Haggath in the first minute of the game on an alleged kicking charge, and they've done it hard for the whole game, and all credit to them. 30 points to 28 now. They're still in contention. Shepperson throws the little dummy, can't get through. 6 to go, says Eddie Ward. Brothers in possession. Just outside their quarter-way line. Shepperson plays it forward, out to Ferguson. Ferguson, the long ball out to Kilroy. He's in space again. Dave Brown comes to him, and this time they wrap up Joe Kilroy.
I was about to say Grogan went forward for the kick. He thought it was the final tackle, but touched by Redcliffe. 6 to go, and Shepperson played it very coolly. He's utilising the ball as much as possible.
Brothers now in possession, 10 metres inside their own territory. A little fade across by Ferguson, finds Creer. Creer's lack runners today. Plenty of times he's had the ball in two hands looking for support, and no one's been there. Heary away to Shepperson. Shepperson back inside. Smith up the middle of the ruck, looking for support. Couldn't get the ball away. Once again, brothers getting in each other's road. Heary to dummy half. Shepperson, the kick's on. A high kick this time. He's going to put pressure on Dave Brown. Brown takes it well, looking into the sun. Well done there from Dave Brown. And Henry Foster comes in quickly, wraps him up. Not a high tackle, not a head-high tackle, let's say. And Foster doing plenty of work around the middle of the ruck now in the early part of the second half. Bernarden away to Webb. Webb fires it back to Torella. Torella out to Benson. Benson out to Cherry, slips one. Across comes Burns, Bly, Davidson and Grogan. Now Redcliffe starting to hit it up the middle of the ruck. Paulson.
Brothers' defence has been rejuvenated. I don't think there's only a couple of players, probably, and their coach thought they could come back, David, and they have, and now the players think, well, we're in this game, we'll get into it. That's
right, and they're certainly playing well enough to do it. A little chip kick by Mark Murray. It's a called play on. Redcliffe have knocked it down. Anything could happen from this one. Brothers, the ball now has been knocked on. Eddie Ward's called the knock on. Advantage rule could have been played there, but Brothers didn't get the opportunity. A scrum to pack, only 1 metre outside Brothers' quarter-way. Who would have believed it? Redcliffe now only leading by the slight margin of 30 points to 28. Only 15 minutes or so ago, they led it by 30 points to 12, and Brothers have come back magnificently here to get themselves right back into the game with only 12 men. And Mick, we spoke after the last game we covered with Wynnum Manly playing so well, and it seemed the only side that might be able to beat them was Redcliffe. Well, certainly on their stop-start performance this afternoon, you wouldn't think they could get anywhere near the Seagulls.
Yes, as we see John Barber there, he's gone to the nerve sticks badly, and don't blame him. Seeing your side collapse, and that's what you'd have to say in this second half. And they've got 13 men, and Brothers have only got 12. But yes, we did say that Redcliffe would trouble Wynnum Manly. Well, this afternoon, they wouldn't trouble anybody the way they're playing. They play hard at times for a minute, then they have a lull. And the girls' high school could run through them when they're having that lull.
Well, let's see if Brothers even think about the same lull. 6 to go now. Paulson looking his way up the middle, striding nicely, fires the ball back in, and there was plenty of trouble. Another 6 to go, calls Eddie Ward. And Redcliffe now with an opportunity really to put a bit of pressure back on Brothers. Oh, strong tackle there, and it's a high one. He's got Henry Foster for a high tackle. A penalty to Redcliffe, and it looks like a simple 2 points for the Dolphins.
Mark Murray, the player on the ground. I'm sure he would have said, here it is. Yes, Foster certainly put him down on that occasion. Of course, Murray has that, well, I don't know whether they're pinched nerves or what they are up around the shoulder and the neck, but that wouldn't be doing them any good. Let's face facts.
That's right, and he certainly doesn't look too well there at the moment, taking quite a while to recover. Benson attempting this goal from almost right in front, 10 metres out. And Redcliffe would like to at least get some momentum going in the second half. They haven't scored a point in the second half. At the same time, Brothers have notched up 16 and scored 30 points to 28. Mark Murray still slow to recover. Benson around the corner, kicker moves in, chips it, no problem at all, and Redcliffe now had a lead of 32 points to 28.
And you know, I don't believe that it is Mark Murray's neck. His ankle seems to be troubling at present, and I think he could be leaving the field shortly.
Yes, Mark Murray certainly limping in back play, and a big long kick-off from Shepperson, well downfield, hits the upright. Anything again could happen from this one. Picked up by John Rebo. Redcliffe really didn't cover that long kick-off too well. Of course, the rules as they are now, if the side kicking off kick's dead, it is then a a goal line dropout to restart, and of course that's what they're after. Brothers possibly a little bit unfortunate with the hit on the upright. Bernarden to Niebling. Foster again with his fairly typical style of trying to wrap his arms around first and trip with his legs, which is a legal method of tackling, providing the arms hit first. Redcliffe in possession again. Benson, Dave Brown strongly onto the ball, fires back inside to Steve Cherry. And Brett Ferguson coming across in cover defence affects the tackle. Brothers slow to get back into position. This time it's Niebling again, hitting up on the left-hand side of the ruck. Fires the ball back inside, finds Torella. Torella outside to Benson. Benson back inside to Rebo. Plenty of room to move, plenty of Redcliffe support. Back to Torella on the outside. We're back inside to Mitch Brennan. And once again, Brothers trying to get back to cover the attacking move by Redcliffe. Plenty of gaps here on the right-hand side. Redcliffe in the attack. Shane Bernarden's the man they want there now. He can handle the ball, but absolutely makes a meal of it. Back inside to John Rebo. Oh, they've dropped the ball now, Redcliffe, and Tim Dwyer in position, and oh, what a try bomb, Mick.
Oh, definitely a try bomb. 4 men over, and Bernarden decides to try and dummy and play it fancy and turns it back inside. He gave it to Rebo, and of course John, not having the best handling games, put it on the deck and all the pressure off Brothers.
Jeff Burns now in possession and quickly wrapped up.
I might add that Brothers looking a little slow to recover, even in attack at present.
They're always going to do it hard. They've played strongly to get back in with a chance in this match, but they must have possession if they're going to be a chance in the second half. Once again, they're prepared to throw the ball around inside their own quarter. Fires out to Dwyer. Dwyer quickly wrapped up. Chris Keeley and Mark Murray over the top. Grogan from dummy half to Shepperson. Shepperson, the big one downfield. Straight to John Rebo. Rebo takes it this time. Bly Davidson comes up. He hits hard into John Rebo and wraps him up with the help of Gary Smith. Mitch Brennan away from dummy half. And really not with anywhere near the amount of commitment, and deserved to get barreled by 3 Brothers forwards. Pretty messy play the ball. Up comes Mick Webb, takes the first settler up. And again, Brothers prepared to really hit Redcliffe hard. They're not committed enough in their running, Redcliffe. Now we've got a few deep runners. This fella loves to run with the ball. Dave Brown through once again off a short pass. Back to Paulson. Paulson bouncing through, finds Mark Murray. Murray outside to Cherry now. Cherry's got cover defence coming across. Dummies one. Joe Kilroy, well done from Kilroy. Fires the ball back inside, but no. He was into touch, and Redcliffe once again going so close to scoring, but just not being able to get across with some fairly determined cover defence from the brethren.
Tell you what though, Dave Brown did not do the correct thing once again on that particular occasion. He could have had Redcliffe over the line and mucked about far too long.
We have now the scrum to pack. Henry Foster defeated. Brothers loose head and ball. Ball's in. Redcliffe with the extra man. The big push over the top. Mark Murray looks like he's dived on it for Redcliffe. Dave Brown's gone to dummy half. And Brothers still on the ground. There's not a lot of support there for the defenders. Dave Brown away from dummy half. Runs strongly. Wrapped up though from Brothers. Kilroy was one. Shepperson the other. Bernarden, dummy half. A long pass out to Benson to Mitch Brennan into a gap. Oh, good tackle from Robert Grogan. Mitch Brennan, I think, thought he was in there along with myself. Away from Benson. Benson dummies one. Outside. There it is. There's the try. Chris Keeley. And Chris Keeley and John Rebo interchanging positions there. We had Rebo popping the ball out, and Brothers always going to struggle after that scrum. Finally, Redcliffe got the ball to the far side of the field, and not enough defence there. There's Fullerton-Smith away from dummy half. Benson lets one runner go, and then finds Rebo in behind. Always in trouble then, Bly Davidson. Just enough room for Chris Keeley to sneak across in the corner.
From the head on, you'll see. Well, actually, Bly Davison was watching Rebo all the time, and by Rebo being inside, it gave Keeley basically the overlap without even Davison knowing he was being sucked into it. Good play from Redcliffe, but of course, if you move the ball fast enough, definitely, as we see John Barber once again laying down the law, saying, come here, I want to have a few words. Is he allowed to do that?
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? They should really be gaining treatment. If they're going to come off the field, they should get permission from the referee. Certainly what they must happen now is they cannot go back onto the field without the permission of the touch judge or the referee. Eddie Ward looking behind him very closely at what's going on back on the bench. And here they both come back onto the field. It'll be interesting to see if Wardy lets this go. He's called them both over. And, well, he might. Certainly players are not entitled to run on and off the field at will.
He's got them.
And Eddie Ward's just the referee to get...
Come here, you too, Mitch Brennan, he says.
I'll have you.
There's no doubt about him. Eyes in the back of his head. Once you're off the field, you're off. He's sending him off.
No, I'll tell you what he's doing, Mick. He's saying you'll go back off now and will not come back on
until you report to the touch judge.
Until you report to the touch judge. And there you are. Mark Murray runs around the touch judge. Mitch Brennan says, well, this is kid stuff, but he's absolutely correct. And the kick-off there by Shepperson. Redcliffe always thin, and good work from Brothers. That's top work. Redcliffe really got themselves to blame here because they mucked around by going off the field. They're always going to be short with Mitch Brennan off, and Pat Shepperson fires the ball down, puts it into the in-goal area, and of course Redcliffe just not with enough players to cover it.
And a good, fast, low trajectory it had on it too, and he's just the man that can control the ball and did it quite well.
36 points to 28. The Dolphins still lead, and Brothers still with a chance in this match. Down to Tim Dwyer now. Dwyer to bring the ball back up 10 metres outside the Redcliffe quarterway line. A strong run from Dwyer. Jim Heary goes to dummy half. Mark Creer looks like he's got a few options on the left-hand side. There's his first option, and that was Smith. Smith, a strong runner, and he's hit heavily by Benson over the top.
You can see Brothers missing that Glen Haggath. If he played as well as I saw him play for Brothers against East out there at Corbett Park, he would have been a great attribute to have out there this afternoon for Brothers.
Mick, he's the runner in that pack, wasn't he? You've got your players like Creer and Ferguson who are trying to do something with the ball, and Haggath really showed up in that game against East.
Well, he looked most dangerous, and that's against a pretty good pack of forwards in the wet.
Brothers with an opportunity on the right-hand side, a little pass from Creer to Ferguson, wrapped up by Torella. Foster. The little chip kick knocked down by Redcliffe, right in the face of Ryan Niebling. As he calls 6 to go. Yes, no, 5th tackle. It wasn't classed as a charge down. The ball back now to Foster. The high ball, has it got enough distance? It's going to come down right beside the post. Mitch Brennan again makes a mess of it, and Brothers almost there to score the try. Still the ball is alive, picked up brilliantly by Shane McElwain. It should be 6 to go. McElwain brings the ball back inside, back to Creer, through Jim Heary. He fires it over the top to Ferguson, out to Bly Davidson, a run to the line. Davidson with cover defence coming across quickly, bounces off one, turns back around, can't get across the line. It looked like Bly Davidson had a clear run to the line. Desperate defence from Redcliffe. There hasn't been much desperate defence from Redcliffe today. Let's see what Brothers can do now. Out through Jim Heary. He looks to get the ball away, does get it away. The ball's on the ground, picked up by Benson. Benson pushes away from one. He's got plenty of room to move. Now outside to Dave Brown. Dave Brown's got no support, and he's wrapped up there by Jeff Burns.
Well, that's good football from both sides. Firstly, defence from Redcliffe to hold them out, and some great attack from Brothers, trying to take advantage of the mistake by Mitch Brennan when he came across underneath that bomb. And exciting stuff.
Yes, and this game's come alive in the second half after I think everyone in the ground expected it was going to die away to a bit of a fizzer. We've got now Redcliffe trying to get their ball out from their own quarter. There's only 14 minutes remaining in the second half.
I was one of them who thought it was going to be a total fizzer.
I think you were Robinson Crusoe, Mick. Redcliffe with a beautiful ball. Let's see what John Reba can do from here. Only got Tim Dwyer to beat, and whilst Reba was looking around for support, Dwyer came up to him quickly. Redcliffe still with plenty of opportunities to attack. Mark Murray fires the long ball out. Chris Keeley takes it on his fingertips. Straight into the gap. Keeley through past one. Great tackle there from Joe Kilroy. Just caught him by the ankle. That was the 6th tackle, and the changeover. Redcliffe leading 36-28 with only 14 minutes to go in the match. A great fight back from Brothers in the second half with only 12 men. Brothers lost their second rower, Glen Haggath, in the 2nd tackle of the match, would you believe? Obviously inside the first minute of the game, and Brothers have struggled ever since, but struggled valiantly, I think, to fight back against Redcliffe, 36 points to 28. McElwain away to Foster. Foster a little bit of a shuffle on the right-hand side. Redcliffe don't have too much trouble lining him up. Shane Bernardin finally finished the tackle off. McElwain through Ferguson. The Brothers players looking fairly tired now. Out a long pass out to Joe Kilroy. He beats one fairly easily. And a penalty now. Stealing the ball once again. And Brothers now with an opportunity to get down inside Redcliffe territory. And of course a fairly tall order for Brothers. They've had to play the majority of the match man down. And Mick, these last 13 minutes or so, you're going to find it very difficult to find that little bit extra.
I'd say they're going to find about 7 pounds of lead in the heel of each boot, David. And I was just thinking Eddie Ward. I watched him referee the other evening the final of the schoolboy well, the schoolboy final down the Gold Coast between Keebra Park and Miami High. A tremendous game, and he handled it beautifully. And it was a pleasure to watch the game and his referee. He's a stickler for the rules, and you can't knock him for that.
Mark Creer does a little bit of a wrap around behind. He's run into a bit of space, but he won't have the pace to do much more with it. But he does well to stay in touch. Brothers now with Redcliffe defence going backwards. Kilroy, McElwain, Shepperson, Ferguson, plenty of Redcliffe defence. Good straight line of Redcliffe moved up there. Good work from Ferguson. He's created a little bit more. Jim Heary doesn't know which way to go. He really ran out of support there. And Redcliffe with a good straight line of defence turned Brothers back then. Shane McElwain straight through the line. No problem, Shane McElwain. Foster back on the inside. He'll put it down under the sticks. And once again, we see Redcliffe paper-thin defence. And Brothers showing everything required to come back strongly. And what a good effort from Shane McElwain, one of Brothers' better players today. Gee, I like this fellow. That's his spot too, the lock forward. Just idles away from dummy half, hits the accelerator. See you later, Mark Murray. Then there was plenty of backup from Brothers. Foster was one. He was the only one needed. Mitch Brennan had no chance of covering those three. And of course, Gary Smith backing up, not required. And little Henry Foster tucks it down right under the post.
Well, on the NEC head-on, you'll see McElwain go through beautifully, looks for his support because he knows it's on the inside, and that was good backing up by Foster. And there was nothing wrong with Mark Murray's attempt at defence. He went in, but that don't argue that came at him was a ripper. And Brothers once again back in because he's kicked that one.
Yes, good effort from Brothers. They're now well back into this match. 36 points to 34 it is. That's not quite 36. Redcliffe still leading by 2 points. 36 points to 34. And we've got 11 minutes to go in the match. Redcliffe really are going to have to fight and fight hard. There it is, 36 points to 34. Only 11 minutes to go in the match, and Redcliffe are going to have to fight very hard now to see if they can come up with the 2 points. Brothers really on top in this second half. It's been a great effort in the second half from Brothers, and there's one of the fellas who's done a fine job for them too, and that was McElwain. He popped the ball up nicely to Davidson, and he's tackled there by Niebling. Away from dummy half, Jim Heary. And Redcliffe thought they had it won at half-time, and certainly now it's right back in the melting pot. Creer looks for support on the inside and finds Brett Ferguson.
No, they've had a tough game, but Ferguson, with his size, and I know he's got tremendous speed, he should be hitting the ball much harder than that because they need him to.
Mick, I couldn't agree with you more. I think he's a fellow that just idles into the defence, and he could be a much better player if he hit the ball up hard, because he's got that little bit of ability to offload the ball. He wants to do it in front of the line all the time instead of hitting the line. And now we have Redcliffe around about 5 metres inside their own territory. 10 minutes to go in the match. Mitch Brennan to play the ball. Bernardin from dummy half. Out to Truella. Brothers defence there.
I'll tell you a fellow who's really surprised me this afternoon, Kilroy. He's had a marvellous game. Every time he's touched it, something brilliant has happened. And it's great to see these players in the game. You need personalities, and Kilroy is definitely one of them because he makes things happen.
Mitch Brennan's another player who can really turn the game. Fires it back inside to Steve Cherry. Steve Cherry slips out of one. And of course, the Brisbane side selected tonight to play Eastern Suburbs in the final of the National Panasonic Cup match, and that'll be played on Wednesday week. And Joe Kilroy, of course, one of the players well in line for one of the wing spots. The ball knocked forward by Brothers, a knock on there, and Eddie Ward will play the knock on, and a scrum to pack. And there's, of course, the Brisbane selection panel. Jack Reardon, Darryl van der Velde and Bobby McCarthy, the coach, of course. They shouldn't have too much trouble selecting the side. It really basically picks itself, the first 13, but Mick, it'll be interesting to see who fills the other 4 places in the reserves. And once again, Redcliffe very untidy from winning that scrum, and Eddie Ward decided there was a little knock on in that.
That's worth a second look at, that one, because I don't think Dave Brown really did knock that on. He dived on it. I don't know if we can have a little look at it. Here it comes. We'll see some messy play from Redcliffe. Mitch Brennan throws his arm's caught. Over the top she comes. Nothing's happening while this is on, I might assure you. Now it goes straight through the legs. That was
Keely
now watch Dave Brown closely.
He seemed to gather it in, but subsequently from the scrum, from that knock-on that Eddie Ward decided, Brothers got a penalty from the scrum. They've kicked well downfield, and they're now 10 metres out from the quarterway, in with a great chance of winning this match. Redcliffe leading 36 points to 34, 8 minutes to go in the game. Joe Kilroy away from the tap. Oh, only just caught by the ankle. wrapped up there by Paulson. Dummy half. Foster through Creer. Creer out to Heary. And we thought Brothers were going to be the ones who were going to tie. Well, Redcliffe don't exactly seem to be jumping out of their boots either. First time that I've seen Creer at dummy half. A little bit of a set move here from Brothers. Burns fading across to the left-hand side. Puts Shepperson into the gap. Finds Tim Dwyer. Dwyer still fighting his way through, but Redcliffe just managed to cover it, and Brothers put on that complicated move. It's come unstuck for them a couple of times, but they're doing all right now. The ball's with Foster. Back to Ferguson on the inside. The ball was touched by Redcliffe. 6 to go. Shepperson picks it up, fires it out to Burns. Redcliffe are a bit thin out here. Burns away from one. Can't find support. There it is, and back inside to McElwain. McElwain into a gap. Beats Mitch Brennan. Can he reach the line? He's there. Shane McElwain, what a great try from Brothers. This would have to be one of the best comebacks we've seen at Lang Park for a long, long time. 30 points to 12 was the half-time score. Let's have a look at it here again on the replay. Brothers probing away. There's Ferguson. The ball gets knocked here. It was 6 to go, but Brothers had to keep it alive, and they did it well. Jeff Burns has had a big game today. There was Shepperson who picks up the ball, fires it back to Burns. Burns tries to create something, a little bit of a jink, gets around one. That was where the try was created. And here, have a look at this pass back inside to McElwain, and McElwain beats Mitch Brennan quite easily. Straight past Brennan. They attempted tackle from Dave Brown, won't get him because Shane McElwain's strength gets across. Look at the look on his face. Great work from Brothers.
Oh, the head-on shows it. We're near the end of it, and that's the inside pass to McElwain. A lot of good work up to then, but I tell you what, that is a determined run. And I'd say even if anything happens after this, with 6 minutes to go, he's close to a pretty shirt, that boy.
Well, Mickey's certainly played strongly enough to deserve some Canterbury gear. And of course, that the Canterbury man of the match to be named by Mick in a couple of minutes' time. Fine effort from Brothers. They now lead 38 points to 36. Pat Shepperson attempted to convert it.
I was going to say he's a man in the running too. There's been some. I was thinking of Joe Kilroy. We're not allowed to say the Black Flash, but he certainly does that when he gets the ball.
Shepperson in. He looks like he's got it. Coming across to the left. Got it. Good work from Shepperson. Brothers now lead 40 points. Good work from Shepperson. He has kicked well today. 40 points to 36. Five and a half minutes to go in the match. Shepperson has kicked 6 out of 7. Well, who would have thought it? Brothers now in front, 40 points to 36.
And they were down 30 to 12 at one stage there.
30 to 12 at half-time, and a great fight back by the brethren. And once again, McElwain beats the first couple of tackles. There's no use Redcliffe getting aggressive now. If they start getting aggressive, they'll certainly lose some players.
Tell you what, they're playing well, Brothers. They know they've got it if they just settle it down, and they want to play very, very steady football indeed. They've got to play it safe. Otherwise, they'll just jeopardise. Oh, a great recovery. I didn't think Brothers had it in them. Hello, Kilroy's gone to dummy half. Got a little bit of a chill on the wing, and he's decided to get into play.
And Redcliffe have made a couple of replacements. It looks like John Boxall and Murphy are on there for Redcliffe, and it could be just a little bit too late for them now. Brothers, an opportunity to really wrap it up. 4.5 minutes to go in the match. They lead 40 points to 36. They've had 12 men for the majority of the game. And there's Tommy Radonicus and John Lehman having a very close look at the match. The little chip kick, I don't think that's the way to play this game now from Brothers. They want to be kicking it well downfield. Any little chip kicks, they don't have to score the tries now. Keeley brings it back. Let's see if Brothers can do the defending required to hold Redcliffe out. The side that wins this game will go to clear 4th, and the side that loses it will drop back to 6th. And we'll find it very, very difficult to make the final 4. Only 4 matches remaining for the season after this one. Let's see if Redcliffe can fire this ball around now. Out to Mitch Brennan. Mitch Brennan's decided to get involved. Tries to push away Robert Grogan. Can't do so. Shepperson in there to try and put him to the ground and can't. A quick play the ball. Around comes Shane Bernard, and he hasn't got a lot of support with him though. There, fires it back to Benson. Benson back to Brown. Brown looking for support. The ball's gone loose. Just managed to wrap it up there. Looked like Mark Murray who finally got a hold of the ball. There's Paulson. Paulson straight through the line. Richie Paulson's going to try and pull it out for Redcliffe. He's beat one. Clyde Davidson backing up. The ball's gone loose. It was John Rebo who tried to take the ball. He couldn't. Brothers have got it. That could be the ball game for the Dolphins. But a good effort by Paulson. Clyde Davidson came from nowhere to wrap him up. And Gary Smith down injured.
Oh, and I tell you what, there was nearly a technical knock-on in there. While the man's down, we'll have a little look, if we possibly can, at the finish of that run. Great break by Paulson, but I thought that the man who recovered that ball, lying injured, received it from an offside position. I thought it came off a Brothers player. We shall have a look. A great play. This is the forward that I reckon is one of the better front rowers in the country. Look at that for a bit of movement for a front rower.
Good
really
stuff.
Superb stuff. Now watch this. He tries to pass it. It's knocked down. Now it touches a Brothers player there. Right. Not touched by Redcliffe. And coming from behind. Very close. I don't know what happened in there, but that looked very
I think you're right,
dodgy.
Mick. I think he was offside myself. It came off Bly Davidson's legs and back to him. Here's a break here now by Shane McElwain. Comes to John Rebo, beats Rebo, looks for support, and Brothers up on the halfway line. McElwain threw another one. Oh, good effort by Shane McElwain. This fella wouldn't let us down as a reserve for Brisbane. And Eddie Ward's decided on a penalty to Brothers for holding back the defence, I think. Only 2.5 minutes remaining in the match. Brothers lead 40 points to 36. And just to recap once again, I know I've said it a number of times, Glen Haggath from Brothers sent off in the first minute of the game. Brothers have played the whole game with 12 men. They were down 30 points to 12 at half-time, and they fought back strongly, and this could be the turning point for Brothers going into the 1984 season.
I tell you what, Pat Shepardson saying a few words there to say, come on, we've got 2 minutes to go. Not even that, under the 2 minutes now, and Brothers know that they've come back. And I can't remember, and I must admit this, a bigger comeback from a team who was down. And against a team who have really got some great players in there. Redcliffe definitely got great players. They just haven't functioned when they're supposed to.
Well, Mick, no one wanted to work in that second half of Redcliffe, did they? I think that's been the problems that John Barber's had all year. He's had some big-name players in there, and he really hasn't got the work rate out of them that he would have expected. And certainly they put up the shutters today. They thought they had it won, and I would think that was... You know, we're wrapping up Brothers, but I think it's one of the most disappointing efforts I've seen from what would have been classed as a top side with a lot of top players.
Well, they've had a big season, some of these fellas, and he hasn't had those representative players to support him. And when they've been away and they've been doing all sorts of things, no doubt about it, certainly I'm not looking for excuses from Redcliffe, but they just failed today, and to allow Brothers to come back with 12 men, and even when they were down, Brothers' defence at one couple of times was looking very shonky. They just didn't do it, and I'm very disappointed. And after this, no one, not even Redcliffe's. Hello, Tom wants to come down. He's really agitated there, but I couldn't see Redcliffe being a strength in the competition.
Tom Redonicus coming down quickly to try and give some instructions to Brothers. There's only 30 seconds remaining in the match. Only 5 tackles that Brothers have got to see out. They lead 40 points to 36. A fine effort here by the brethren. They're going to try and score another try. Brothers aren't prepared to close it up here now, and what a good effort it would be if they could put it across and put the icing on the cake.
The best defence is attack, and I tell you what, Creer going very close.
He's just short of the line. Let's see what Mark Creer will do from here. Will he play it forward? No, he plays it back. Held up, pops the ball back. They don't have to score it, Brothers. Just shut it down and it's all over, and that's what Henry Foster will do. What a win from Brothers, a great win from the brethren. They really deserve all the accolades possible. Tommy Redonicus must have said exactly the right things there at half-time. 40 points to 36, a fine comeback from Brothers. They deserve the 2 points. And Mick, who do you think was the man of the match?
Well, he got it for the big-hearted effort. Number 8 for Brothers, Shane McElwain. He'll be the best-dressed lock around town, because he'll be wearing the Canterbury gear, $200 worth of top gear, as you and I know, Dave, and a most deserving player. There were other players in Brothers who came well and played well, but boy, oh boy, did he have an individual match.
Fine effort from Shane McElwain and a fine effort from Brothers. What a great performance to come back, as I've said. They've won the game, 40 points to 36, and now clear fourth in the comp with only 4 matches to go.